Welcome back to the Accessible Art History YouTube channel. This week I'm continuing my series on the 250 images of the AP Art History test. I've already covered the first part of the Global Prehistory unit. That video is linked for you in the description box. So this video is going to cover images 6 through 11 on the list. Remember, these videos are meant as an introduction or quick review to the units, not a comprehensive coverage. I can't wait to wrap up Global Prehistory with you, so let's get started. Upon first glance, this stele doesn't look like much. Standing at about 3 feet tall, this stone stele is made from geometric shapes that come together to form a human face, body, and clothes. It's from Saudi Arabia and dates from between 4000 and 3000 BCE. This piece is actually part of a small collection of steles that were discovered by archaeologists in the region. Despite it covering a rather large geographic distance, they seem to share many of the same abstract and geometric characteristics. This is a great example of how early trade routes developed. They were not only used for commercial purposes. In addition, these routes were allowed ideas and creativity to spread throughout the region. It's a remarkable testament to the desire to create even millennia ago. And it's important to note that the stele predates Islam by nearly 5,000 years. In that religion, depictions of the human form is forbidden because it could lead to the creation of idols, a practice that is strictly forbidden. But we still see many works showing people from before the rise of Islam in the Middle East. This next piece takes us all the way to China. It's made of jade and is called a Kong. Along the outside, there are symbols and images carved into the hard stone. Kongs have been found in graves and are believed to have served some sort of ritual purpose. However, we have yet to find sufficient evidence to tell us exactly what that purpose was. But we can gather some information from the material itself. Jade is an incredibly hard stone, and it can't be carved in the traditional manner. Instead, sand must be used to erode its surface into the desired shape and to make designs. The amount of labor that went into carving a Kong is extraordinary, especially in a time when expending calories could be a matter of life and death. This indicates that the person buried with the Kong was important within society and worth taking the time to make such a precious ritual object for. Stonehenge is, without a doubt, the most famous entry in the Global Prehistory unit. It's a megalithic, or Great Stones, monument. It's easily recognizable, but the reason for the creation of Stonehenge has been contested by historians for hundreds of years. Stonehenge is located about 90 miles west of London, near Amesbury, Wiltshire, England. The structure dates from the Bronze Age, between 3000 and 2000 BCE. The large stones are constructed of sarsen, or a type of sandstone, a local stone from a natural deposit about 20 miles away. On average, each of these stones weigh about 25 tons, but the largest stone, or the heel stone, weighs an astonishing 30 tons. There are small stones called blue stones as well. These are actually various volcanic rocks whose origins have been traced to Wales, about 155 miles from the site. One of the biggest mysteries is how Stonehenge was built. Regardless of what methods were used, it's clear that it was a massive effort requiring hundreds, if not thousands of people. There were two main theories for how the stones were moved to the location: wooden sleds for moving across lands, and boat or rafts for moving the blue stones from the Welsh coast. Archaeologists have determined that Stonehenge was built into 3 stages. Phase 1 started about 3100 BCE. A circular trench was dug that measured about 360 feet in diameter and about 6 feet deep. 2 entrances were included. A smaller interior ring of a dirt bank was added. This is what makes it a henge. 56 pits, spaced about 3 feet apart, were also dug. There wasn't evidence of what was put in these pits, but it was believed it was either wooden beams or the blue stones. Phase 2 started about 100 to 200 years after Phase 1. The wooden structures, including a roof, were built in the center of the henge. Some of the original post holes were used as burial sites. And Phase 3 started about 400 to 500 years after Phase 2. This was the longest phase. The holes were once again used to form foundations for the large stone to be placed in. They were then capped with other stones using a post and lintel design. Think of a door frame when you think of post and lintel. There are 2 vertical pieces or a post. Then a long horizontal lintel is attached to the top. Although deceivingly simple, it seems pretty effective. There are a couple theories about the purpose of Stonehenge. As there are no written records, we only have historical speculation. The first theory is that it served as a giant astronomical calendar. In the 18th century, it was discovered that the sunrise on the summer and winter solstices perfectly aligned with the horseshoe stones. These dates are the longest and shortest days of the year, respectively. They were important dates because it signaled a shift in the seasons. By marking them with a large monument, it would help local people calibrate their crops and hunting expeditions. It could have also been used to mark celebrations. The second theory is that Stonehenge served as a sacred burial site. archaeologists have discovered about 25 cremation burials in former post holes. A further 30 burials surround the site. Analysis of the remains show the majority of the individuals were between 25 and 40. Their bones shows little sign of hard labor, so it's likely that these people served at the top level of society. This indicates that Stonehenge was a sacred place because only the highest people in society could be buried there. So what could Stonehenge teach us? It's a magnificent example of human ingenuity and strength. By using teamwork and only the most basic of tools, Bronze Age people were able to create a monument that still resonates with us in the modern era. It shows a clear connection to nature and the afterlife. Although we may never know the true meaning, we do know how important Stonehenge was, and still is. The next work was discovered in Papua New Guinea and dates from around 1500 BCE. This makes it the oldest known sculpture ever discovered in Oceania. Astonishingly, when it was discovered, it was still being used as a ritual object. There's a shiny patina on the stone, created from thousands of years of human hands holding it. AMBUM stone is made of a hard stone that is native to Papua New Guinea. It seems likely that ancient artists saw the natural shape of the stone and decided it looked similar to a local animal, so they added some details to complete the look. Archaeologists believe that it's an image of an extinct marsupial, probably an ancestor of the echidna. Sadly, the AMBUM stone was brought by missionaries and transported to a Western museum for, quote, safekeeping. It has been studied extensively, but not used as the ritual object that it was meant to be. Papua New Guinea has tried to get it back, but it's still in Australia right now. This brings about a big discussion of global artwork, ownership, and if we have a right to put these objects in museum when they were still clearly being used in religious rituals. The TLATILCO figurines are small figurines from central Mexico. They date from about 1200 to 900 BCE and stand at about 9.5 centimeters tall. These figurines are marked by their small waist, wide hips, and thick thighs. There has been speculation that these represented the ideal body shape for the people at the time. This is compounded by the fact that the majority of these figures are women. It's actually quite rare to see male figurines in pre-Columbian art. The most carved detail of these figures are their elaborate hairstyles. This likely means that hair was important to the TLATILCO people. Another unusual detail is the fact that the figures have 2 heads but only 1 body. The meaning of this is unknown, but archaeologists theorize that the TLATILCO people focused a lot on duality in their culture, so this could be an indication of it. The final image of this unit is this terracotta fragment from the Solomon Islands. Dating from about 1000 BCE, this red slip earthenware fragment is decorated with incised lines. To create it, the clay was mixed with sand to increase its durability, and then the lines were incised in. By studying these fragments, we can trace how people moved from island to island to follow supplies and food sources. The LAPITA people were seafaring people with a sophisticated navigation technique because examples of pottery have been found across many of the Micronesian islands. However, this fragment was not used for cooking because there are no carbon marks from fire. Therefore, it seems likely that it served as a storage or serving vessel on these journeys. The decorations are very formal stylized patterns. White lime was rubbed into the lines to make them stand out against the red clay. In the 1970s, an archaeologist categorized all these symbols, and they were able to trace the route from the Solomon Islands to Hawaii to Rapa Nui. This shows just how far the LAPITA people and their culture was able to reach. How amazing is that? Although often not included in the AP Art History test, the Global Prehistory unit is fascinating because it shows us just how long people have been driven to create. Next, I'll be covering the cultures of the ancient Mediterranean, the second unit of AP Art History. Make sure to keep an eye out for my next video.